You start.
Okay. Okay, go on. Yeah, no. So we're looking at essentially the Bilberries Blue Youth Stewardship Program that we ran since 2020, 21, so 22. So 3 years where we had run it virtually and with youth stewards from various countries, right? So Kenya, Philippines, Malaysia, and two students in Japan that really didn't gain traction, and some students, some youth stewards, we just didn't gain traction in like New Zealand and another team in Kenya as well. But there were enough of the youth stewards who turned up frequently enough, and we got to know them. And each of them have like a little bit of their projects that they want to do, and Singapore, of course, you know. So we've kind of journeyed with them, and there was actually a program formulation based on formation, and then a leadership that's based on kindness, right? Irina was explaining that. So it's a bit too difficult to like explain all in one go. But what we've had was essentially 400 hours, okay, I would think, of recording on Bilberries Blue that we haven't edited. And we would just do this as well. Record it and then just pop it out, you know. So the intention is that the program has what we call pedagogical documentation, where our dialogues and our sharing of experiences, right, essentially form like the pedagogy material, if you will. Okay. Yeah. So from what I've observed in two cohorts, and with several sustainability stewards from Bilberries Blue joining in different sessions, and also some of the youth stewards getting traction in sharing with us their projects, which it became almost like and very much like how, say, we would run it for our different work streams in the private sector, you know. So I found it, hey, actually there's not much of a difference now, because everybody does a lot of meetings on Zoom. And I also found the youths who typically we would say special needs or with disability, they didn't have it, okay, because we were able to include them, and they eventually used the Zoom. And also we're able to follow the work plan and just work like everybody else. It's just that everybody else had a different work plan and we had different project work streams, you know. And it was really beneficial because we could bring all the youths together. At one point we had like maybe on a Zoom screen, everyone from a different country and with different projects, different passions. So that was kind of 3 years, right? And we can't do another year where we just sit and chat, right? So and that's when I started having discussions with Helena. I met Helena last September in London, and then with Irene recently, right? To say now that we know at least for these communities, right, and the youths, what is it that they want to do for their communities? What is it that they need our support in? So we essentially were playing the roles of mentors, right? What then? What is then the next thing, right? So Irene has said, so maybe Irene can share your thoughts later, but that's really what it is. So, and we had said to them that we would want to take a journey together, okay, and go to Cambridge, right, and basically host our own summer school. Okay, so there were a couple of sessions where we did 5 Thursdays to Cambridge, and the youth stewards were actually even developing their own curriculum. But I think it's kind of time that they actually interface with the corporate executives, and time that they also interface with really running a curriculum, you know, running a live project now that COVID is over, and having them move globally it's just a really nice aspiration, you know. So we thought maybe 2 cycles, right? 1 year planning, 1 year the youths with young corporate executives, and then another year where they all apply all their energy and their capabilities, right, for projects that could be twinned together with the corporates, where the funding can go immediately to the community and accelerate a lot of these community needs, which are also kind of new markets as well. So that's where I'm kind of looking at, and yeah. And where Helena comes in, the discussion was, if we were to run something like that, a summer school, could we have it be accredited? Okay. And could we have a few actually be located at Cambridge when we were running it, just because the inspiration is there, right, about learning? And can we also basically beam it out, right, as a live streaming, you know, so that we can reach back to the younger kids even, and the other youths, right, in the various communities. Because at this stage, Bilberries, Blue and One Love, and the other entity is Charcoal, right, which we can actually provide opportunities for e-commerce, social commerce. It's basically already, or even cottage studios, you know. So it's essentially, how do we accelerate this process in the next 2 years, since we've already taken 3 years, and the first year was really when we were writing our strategic plan. So that's where we are giving the accreditation and linking to the corporates, but actually going into application, not so much mentoring or guiding anymore.
Okay. I have more questions than answers right
That's
now.
good.
So I'm
That's
quite
good.
happy to, I'm still trying to get my head around how everything is structured, and having not been involved, I mean,
Yeah.
with any of the delivery so far in terms of what you're doing. I think it's good that you have an endpoint and you're very clear about where you want to be, this physical outcome, which is essentially a summer school in Cambridge. But then that journey to get there is less clear to me, because it's just lots and lots of tasks, which, yes, you're right, you're going to take a lot of planning, a lot of funding. Depending on how old these youths are, there might be safeguarding issues as well, especially if we're bringing them here into the UK. You know, it's like excursion forms. Parents just have to sign to say, yes, you can take them to the zoo, that sort of thing. And accreditation, actually, I think, you know, would be the another challenge, but it'd be the least of our worries after considering some of the first ones. And hopefully you can turn around to me and say, oh, all of that, you know, we know where we're going with that. And maybe it's just my ignorance. So Irene, I did say to Peng-Ean before you came online, and I said, you know, I am here, I'm happy to support in whatever way I am. But if I find that it's not my area of expertise and I can't add value, please don't worry about offending me, and I'll happily step down or step aside graciously. You know, no egos here, because I don't want to sit here and say, oh yeah, you know, I can make that happen, when maybe I can't, when I understand what you actually want. But really, that's it for me, other than, okay, maybe the fact that I'm actually based in the UK. So if you needed someone to pop along and look at a venue, or work within GMT hours, you know, it's lunchtime for me, so I'm wide awake rather than end of the day, you know, that sort of thing, then that's one practical logistical benefit.
Thanks for sharing.
Sorry.
I'll just give a bit of background to myself, so how I'm coming to look at this. I'm very new to all the 400 hours that's been done, so I really need to familiarize myself. My own background is that then I saw the opportunity to elevate these youths and integrate them into the corporate world, because I used to run programs for the corporate leaders at 3 levels. So they were like the at a junior level, the young high potentials identified by the HR, but these were all mainly like Temasek link companies because I worked for Temasek or the civil service. And then there's a middle one, which is like head of business units, about to be made into managing director roles. Then the topmost level are the C-suites leaders. So I have had 3 programs running like 3 times a year. So I thought that it's very interesting if we could bring it a similar level down to the youth, because the youth today really think differently. So you really need to structure it differently. So the way I'm looking at, I was looking at things was really from a corporate perspective. So yes, I did some program development. So in terms of like strategies or organization, financial analysis, etc. Yeah, at different levels to train these people. But it'll be very interesting in the context of this new, sort of new world that we are coming into, whether we can play a role to shape these young people and get their interest to spread out the effects that we want to make the world a bit more kinder place. You know, there's huge argument now between like severe capitalism and some sort of other capitalism that will emerge that can work for the greater benefit of humankind. So since leveraging on the work that you've already done, then if we could pick some of these super champion youths who have the energy to make this impact and inspire them through, like Ian and I was saying that we're very lucky that we were able to go to Cambridge and then that kind of like change our lives. So it's a little bit of like us giving back also to bring these people there to see a different world that actually that I would have never seen if I have not gone to Cambridge. So and then structure that into a program that can actually more integrate greater social values into corporate worlds. So you partner them with high potential leaders inside identified sponsors companies. So we were thinking of like 12. When I thought through it, that well, there'll be largely Temasek link companies that you can go to, and then championed by SGX, since inclusivity is now huge on their agenda, and over the next few years, they will also require listed companies to disclose a certain set of indicators, including diversity, etc. Yeah. So quite a few of these, I suppose, Temasek link companies can be approached to then integrate a case study that eventually link back to the CEOs of how to integrate more sustainability into their models, because they'll be required to change over the next 5 to 10 years, because we committed to net zero. At first it was 2030, but now it's pushed back to 2050 because it's quite a tough journey. But eventually they'll have to do that. And Europe is much further along than we are, quite a lot of the companies, energy companies in Germany have already made the swap from heavy fossils to renewable completely. So how they can actually, we will need to do that at some point in time. So our companies, so these youth leaders from different areas of the world will bring different perspectives. Then they can work with these high potentials inside Temasek companies, who will then report back to the CEO on a case study that eventually the CEO will come at the top level the second year to work together with a professor in sustainability to try to make a roadmap for transformation. That was kind of roughly what me and Peng-Ean were talking about. I'm coming more from like, if you understand my background, then I'm looking at it from that way, but just trying to introduce more sort of social perspectives and try to introduce that and accelerate the process in the corporate world.
Okay. That's really helpful. Thank you, Irene.
So yeah, so I'm just going to answer some questions, okay, and then pick up from where Irene had her insights. So Helena first. Helena, so the youth in the youth stewardship program, we had a cutoff of 18 and above. Okay, the ones who are below of the age group, or if they still require parental consent or support or guardianship, right, for whatever reasons, those are still under different programs, such as like Bilberry Blue Lighthouse or Happy Heart School, or so we have different tiering of programs. For the youth stewardship program, what we had done was approach the so-called elders of the community, right? So we partner with the town council of Dangkalan, and then there's this board of this children's garden home and school in Nairobi, right? And so we had actually partnered, and Malaysia was with the International Youth Foundation. So they had actually selected the youth.
Okay.
So it's kind of at that level. And I think for even the planning trip, it might not be everybody. It's just going to be maybe one representative from each country, or maybe even as planning trip, maybe it could just be us, right? Because it all depends on how much funding we're going to get. But it would have, but the very first trip, right? It would be somebody who has already the maturity as a youth, like Irene said, it's got to be the champion. They're not just coming in for the ride, they got to be the ones who are already really active in that community, and we actually have already identified, right? So it's really largely for this one, very specifically 3 communities, 4. The Nairobi, Dangkalan, Singapore, and Malaysia. So Malaysia was countrywide, and Singapore, it is countrywide, So when we pick the youth stewards to pair with the corporate executives, it's going to be the same standing. Like the corporate executives are basically the new generation leaders of the corporates. We know at every generation you just have these cookie ones who really want to change the world type, right? Yeah, and they have the determination. They already actually really self-determined youth, right? Youth leaders. So I've seen basically the 25, 26 are really high energy now. I've also seen the millennials, 36, still wanting to do this, and they still don't know how to do it, and they are actually getting a little disheartened. So what we're trying to do is to catch that before they just say I give up, to bring it into a pivot, right? We all went through like, oh man, it's not going to change, never going to change. But if you come together and then suddenly you see that hope again, and then that coming together then brings you to another level of change. So I think it's still very much about structural change making. So where Irene was saying, right, what is it, severe capitalism? I really like that phrase, Irene. So where it's so polarized now, we really wanted to see what would emerge, and we don't want to dictate that, right? So when we were running this, we were very open. We were not running it, we were actually facilitating, catalyzing it, because it is their world. We are in our give back, right? We were kind of like, yeah, we could do more, arguably, but but there is a limit when you're starting to hit 50s and all that, right? So for them, it is their world. It is their world. I'm seeing the Gen Z actually coming on board too for our younger adolescent program. The other day, they were interested enough to come to the school within a school, you know, the NUS students, and they were very vocal. Okay, so I'm liking that they're trusting us and they're telling us what they really, really think and what they really, really want. So that's kind of there. So what kind of capitalism will emerge? Will we even call it capitalism? I'm not sure. Okay, because yeah. Right. So and Helen, remember we ended up when before we said goodbye and hug each other. Remember we said the third sector, and I remember that. Okay. So I remember that, and I said it's going with entrepreneurism, purist entrepreneurism is not going to get there. So I remember that, and then when the minute I saw Irene and I met Irene, and she shared this whole perspective and her insight, right? I think it's wonderful that if we're able to get a champion like SGX, and then essentially that answers your funding question. So what we want to do, like the 400 hours was completely in volunteerism by everyone that was involved, and I think we've basically hit the edge of our volunteerism. It's very severe monkhood, you know. So we don't do it this time like this. So the learning that we have as One Love and Bilberries Blue is that that idealism is not going to be able to make this work. We've hit the edge of that, and we'll admit to it, and now we want to recreate from there, right? And the change is we will fund this. We will get the funding. We'll do a proper costing, okay, and run it like a very full-blown program with our administrators, etc. So we just need to know the costing, and we get all these champions to basically fund it, right? It's nothing to them, right? So we can run like a 2-year program, I think, and Irene's pretty much kind of mapped out that journey. And I love how you said, Irene, the next, say, from 2025 to 2030, although others are behind in 2050, it's because if you don't put it to 2030, you're just going to keep postponing the inevitable, right? What we're going to say is let's just still push for it, right? In wherever space that we land in, it's still part of the world, it's still part of the geology, where we are going to make that net zero, right? Even if it's a small pocket, even if it's a room, maybe it's a community, let's do that. Let's see if we can do that, right? And so then have that accelerated and hit net zero sustainability by 2030 and hit our SDG goals by 2030 for these communities only. We can't change everybody, but we can make a systemic change, because what we'll do is, because of our pedagogical documentation, we will then basically have not templates, but maybe pattern language and maybe archetypes, you know, maybe the way of thinking, maybe the systems. And my conversation with Emma last week was, she said, drive it through people. I love it. That's why that's what I picked from her, right? And build the systems. So that's how we're doing. And then we have this end goal, right? So and she said to me 2 words, right? Sustainability and inclusivity. Just stay on these 2, and then we've already defined it, right? So Irene said sustainability is net zero, inclusivity, I would just say SDG 2030. If everyone's written everything about it, right? But it's really not from a charitable perspective. It's not even accompaniment at this stage. It is actually seeing that the diversity, right, and the multiple perspective from the youth and the knowledge that we would otherwise not know at all if we don't go into the trenches with them, right? That's really, I think, our treasure that we're facilitating. So we are really strong in that we can do both worlds, you know. I think that's where our niche is, and that's where our contribution is. Although we have to do our hair once in a while, you know, but we can do many worlds. We're mothers, you know. So I think and we've all been in corporate worlds, and we've all been in no worlds, you know. So I think we're very well placed to do this. Yeah. And Helena, you're right. The accreditation actually does not matter. It's us. So we decided to put it under One Love. It's a not-for-profit, right? And we hold the values, we hold the standards, we set the standards, and we said that to all the kids, and they love it. right? So now they're there, the adolescents are doing it. You know, previously they had such low self-esteem in school, you know, they were kind of lost. Then I say, you're very kind. Kindness is like the highest strength, you know, and just get yourself back into joy. And then what is it that you want to do, right? You set that standard and make it really small, but just arrive there, right? Arrive there, find some people who do that with you, who are sincere, who are committed. And now if you say, yeah, let's bring in the corporates, go sit next to the CEO and prepare the meeting well, say what you want to do, go work next to that corporate leader. I would think the corporate stewards are, Irene, your sense is, are they going to be in the 30s or they're going to be also in their 20s?
You know, I was thinking about this.
Mm.
I'm gonna turn 50 this year, right? I'm trying to be more optimistic that the 50 is the new 30s, right? So I think we should define youth as people who are below 40 so that we can you know, still call ourselves I don't know, the new middle age or whatever, you know, not like half 1 foot in the grave or something. So I think I want to yeah, because of life expectancy, right? I don't think we should like put people who have reached 40 down to think that they are already so old, you know.
Okay, okay.
I hate that. That's also inclusivity.
Yeah. So it's the mindset, isn't it? It's really the neuronal
Are
redundancy.
are you in tune, you know? Are you in tune? So
Yeah,
basically we're
yeah.
steering this group of high potential impact people to try to cause a ripple in their own communities to go the direction that we think the world would be a better place for our children and their children. There's people first, then planet, then profit, which is the 3 Ps, right? But now we have a wrong order. Like today, I sat through the whole thing. It was also like, you know, I can see how terribly all this profit maximization is, and you know, shareholders' pricing and everything is so wrong in the system. The world has recognized that, and there's a huge pushback. So we could participate in this and do what little we can. I think I still want to preserve a little bit of the idealist in me, but I don't have so much energy already. I'm 50. So we need all these young people who just need some steering and guidance. And then they can see also the light at the end of the other tunnel. Then maybe our world will change a little bit. We'll just do what we can. And then have fun
Is there a
together
need to put a limit on the age? Because if you say it's something like outlook and mindset,
it just makes the selection easier. But
that's true.
you know,
But it just is quite random cutoff in a way, isn't it? So while we want to be inclusive, a
I
cutoff
don't think
is
I'm a
what-
youth, but I think I'm a youth at heart. But I have to recognize
at heart.
I'm
At
not
heart, yeah.
youth already, you know.
Because we have different.
Weird, right?
I don't
You
know.
say that,
I don't know.
okay,
I don't
put Irene in there, and then she's a youth, you know. I
know.
don't really.
I know. Like
That
if you do the
doesn't-
Club Med thing, it's 18 to 30, isn't it? I think. I don't know. I never did it. Anyway, don't qualify. In fact, now I get adverts. I get emails for something called Saga Holidays, which is for over 50s. Now, how to make a girl feel good about herself.
Okay.
Like, oh, you go
Bernie
Saga
is
Holidays.
entering the room.
I know.
She is going into her 80s. She's in a 7th jacket. She will have a view or two.
Perfect timing. So maybe
she's
she can
fine.
give us guidance.
Absolutely. Maybe we are the youth.
We are the youth.
I mean, I'm really youth at heart, no, but I don't think I can go to the one and then say that, you know, I participate. This is
No.
the youth.
No,
Right?
I know. I think that's a challenge in terms of having a random cutoff. And whilst we think 40 is young because we're in our 50s, maybe a 30-year-old will think
Maybe
that when you're 40, you're
drop the
past it.
word youth, I think, because
Yeah.
we really have our youth stewardship program, right? And this is not an extension of it. This is just really that an evolution, right? So drop the word youth. It's sustainability and Bernie! Here comes Bernadette Cenzon,
Yeah.
we need you. We said we are lost.
I managed to enter. Yes.
Yay!
Yeah. How are you all?
Fine, thank you.
You haven't met Helena and Irene, so we kind of done our introductions. We have
Okay.
done our
Mm.
we are recording the session. So
What's it about?
what's it about? Who can summarize it fastest for Bernie?
Yeah.
Peng-Ean, you go. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's it
Bernie,
all
the
about?
fastest
Yeah.
is like this. Okay, in 2030, remember our strategic plan for Bilberries Blue and One Love, and we had basically got Bilberries Blue Lighthouse. Then we've got Bilberries Blue Youth Stewardship Program. Remember that?
Mhm.
Yep. So Bernie is the co-program director for the BBYSP. That's how we called it.
Mm.
And when he had written the program centered on formation, okay, there were
Mm.
7 milestones, and essentially we married the idea of dialogues and pedagogy, and 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 then we were supposed to bring everybody to summer school. Okay, so when this is kind of like the continuation or maybe an evolution of that. It's
Mm.
not exactly the same anymore, because that
Mm.
program we've done for about 400 hours, I reckon. We've
Mm.
recorded it,
Mm.
and it's 3
Mm.
years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
already kind of have a very good pulsing of what's
Yeah. Yeah.
happening
I
in the
think we
youth.
wrapped. Yeah, we have wrapped it up already. Yeah.
I think so. We wrapped it up. So I think we need to wrap it up properly with them and then come up with the next, right? So the next is this. The next is in so this is 2023, right? So that's 1 year. 2024 will be 1 more year, and then 2025, right? It's actually 3 years, Irene. 1 year of planning and 2 years of execution. We thought that the next, and since when we did our youth program, it was also like a 3-year cycle. I met Irene, and we basically said that this time it's going to be corporate executive engagement and engage it, and Irene has is familiar with is very close to Temasek link companies, and we thought that SGX should champion this with us. Okay,
Where are
and
you all based? It's interesting.
Singapore.
Where?
Singapore.
Nepal? Singapore. You also?
No,
Helena is,
I'm in London.
I'm in Hong Kong.
yeah,
We're taking over the world.
we are,
Yeah.
girls rock.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay,
so
continue.
very quickly, it's 1 year planning, 1 year in one. We could call it summer school, call it something else. It's okay, right? For lack of better working title, we just call it 1 year summer school and then another year. Okay, and then from there we will accelerate the application towards net zero for these communities in by 2030, and then the inclusivity is the SDG 2030. Okay, I think Irene, you got to explain your vision to Bernie. I think I'm not doing it well.
Okay,
Mhm.
very well. I'm not so familiar with the work that's previously done,
Okay.
but so as I was explaining that I used to run programs inside Temasek at 3 levels for the youth,
Mm.
high potentials. They were in their early 20s.
Mhm.
Then the middle management who are head of business units, like in their 40s, 30s, and 40s, and then the C-suites. So 3 programs, basically mostly for Temasek link companies and civil service. We
Yeah.
also had board director programs as well. So I was thinking, so inspired by Peng-Ean's energy, That's why I'm always meeting her, because her energy is inspiring.
Jet fuel.
Yeah, she's giving me a lot of energy, I mean, so I was just saying to Helena
Jet
that
fuel energy.
yeah, and then she's rekindled the youth in me,
Oh.
So I just remember how idealistic I was, etc. So anyway, in 2020 I took a CISL course, which is about sustainability, Cambridge Institute of Sustainable Leadership. So there are about 300 over of us, civil service bankers, central bankers, people in sustainability, etc. So basically, it's gone back to people who believe in a kinder world, a kinder type of capitalism, which is a huge dialogue now in much more in Europe, I think, than it's evident here in Singapore. It's like nobody discuss about this. But the world is seeing this fight between capitalism and socialism, right? Which is evident between US and China. So
Yes.
has demonstrated there are some
Yes.
benefits of state.
Yes.
Shouldn't be saying this to you in living in Hong Kong. How terrible it's been in the last 3 years. But there are some, benefits to an alternative type of economic structure and system, and people
Middle
are
way.
for the 3 Ps, which capitalism in the American neoliberalism. I'm getting my economics all back again after today's attendance. That we put the P's the wrong way around in the last 2-3 decades.
What are the P? What are the 3 Ps?
3 Ps are, so in my world, or in all of us who are idealists in this group of people, the first P should be people. The second P is then the planet, which feeds us. Yes. And then the third P then should be profits. But we got it wrong.
What should be?
The third P is profits.
Profits, okay.
People
People,
first,
planet, profits, okay.
people first, planet, take care of the planet, and then earn some profits to keep yourself,
Okay.
right? So ideally, we shouldn't be seeing like obscene returns of 40-50%, but it's more like 3-4-5%, enough to feed us all kind of planet system, economic structure system. So that was what was inspirational for me lah. So when I wrote my final essay in that program, I was saying that Singapore is small enough that actually we could be a kind of role model if we want to push this change, And indeed, I think the Singapore government is making a huge push in this. It's not easy, but now SGX is going to require listed companies to disclose certain ratios, including gender, diversity, inclusivity, etc. Carbon credits coming also into the system, and we're putting a carbon credit exchange. It will take some time, but I think we could be planting some seeds if we have this program with the people that we've identified with a lot of energy. Use the energy, leverage on them for the world we want to achieve.
Extra resources.
Yes, extra energy. They've got the energy, and they'll be the drops and the ripples that will send out, and see where the system goes lah. It's exciting times. I think we are that. It can be a pivot, and maybe we can play a small role in that. Who knows? We just try, right? And then I think we were having a discussion just now about defining youth, right, Helena? Then, and then Peng-Ean was saying that, maybe you're done with the youth. I was just thinking, then maybe the program should be called Change Makers.
Change makers.
Yes, because it's really about change makers, and you're empowering them to be change makers, regardless of their age then. If we want to pick those with the most ability to impact the system, yes,
the youth.
Then let's not limit the age.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can talk to a 20-year-old, right? It just depends on also what kind of who and your mindset and etc. Right? So really, I think that's a good point too. And then it will be really practicing inclusivity as well.
No age limit. No age limit.
Anti-ageism, which is
True inclusivity, Drop the
We're
age.
sitting here thinking, are we over the hill or not? Because okay, none of us are youth. Stop being ages. That's a statement of
We
fact.
want
Nobody.
to deny it. We want to deny it. We are youth at heart.
Yeah, if you walk out there, especially here,
Anti-ageism.
and people start calling you madam. It's like, thank you, madam. No, thank you, madam. And yes, please, madam. You're thinking, at what stage do you visually turn into a madam? So I think we can make changes at any age. Is a mindset and it's an energy
That's
thing.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
think
in the mind.
drop the ageism, right? Just drop it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we dropped it
So-
already in an instant in the first meeting. So this is great, see?
So what is in a nutshell, what is the goal?
The goal is to cultivate a group of change makers
Mm-hmm.
who maybe need some guidance to steer
Mhm.
them into this more compassionate world that
Mm-hmm.
we actually should be living in, rather than the world that we are now, which is
Mhm.
really cruel.
Yes,
As you can
yes.
see, if you just go to San Francisco, that is just the ultimate failure experiment of American capitalism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Compassionate change makers.
yeah,
Wow.
that
Two
Okay.
words.
you know,
2 words, Bernie. We're getting better and better.
CC.
Huh?
So it's BBCC. It's BBCC.
CC.
Is CC? Okay, don't want CC. Okay,
Anyway, okay.
yeah. Huh?
So to change the world into
Yeah,
a better and kinder world.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm,
Okay. And how do you start?
mm.
well, yeah, we were saying we'll start with a group of 12, matching 12 change makers with 12 corporate leaders. Not necessarily corporate leaders, because we were discussing Peng-Ean the other day that actually I think that it would be better if there were like maybe the ratio of some ratio of non-profits inside.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because you got to get these
A
non-profit
middle
groups
way.
pushing
Yeah.
the corporates to the first people side,
That's
So,
right.
yeah, get them out of their box of focusing on profits, let them
Mhm.
come out and think about an alternative space and how
Okay.
it could be, and then bring it back to their corporates and work it with their CEO, who will
Yes.
ultimately be answerable to sustainability goals in
Yes.
within 5 or 10 years. So
It is
they're already trying to make that transition. They need to make that transition.
Mm.
So
this is a
we're
brand new concept.
brand new concept. I don't know. I think we're just dreaming and discussing about it, but somehow I think the timing is right, because they will need to. The CEOs will need to deliver such sustainability targets.
Yeah,
So we are
because
helping.
while you're talking, this kind of concept has it has does it have a connection with CSR, corporate social responsibility, which for me is a little bit outdated.
No, it's not really outdated. It's just more expanded.
That's
Yeah.
why it's quite passe, no? CSR. Yeah.
Yeah, that's corporate sustainability. So you do a little bit of philanthropy, etc.
That's right. That's right.
It's not in tune with the 17 SDG goals, right?
The
The United
ESG goals.
Yes. The
SDG.
and
SDG.
so
Huh?
SDG.
SDG.
Mm.
So there are 17. We're not going to achieve all
SDG.
17.
Yeah.
Sustainability development goals that have been identified by the United Nations, and it actually goes beyond just the climate.
Okay. Sustainability development goals. This is of UN.
Yeah.
Because there's so much talk now of this already passé, no? ESG. It has nothing to do with ESG.
Yes, it does as well, I think, because ESG is also a responsibility towards the planet.
Yes.
it's the first two P's actually, right?
Yes.
It's about people and about planet. So ESG is really about those two things before profits.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So, but there's been a lot of hype on ESG. So we also
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of hype. I think it's overhyped now. Is it?
yeah,
Not yet.
people make use of it to raise a lot of funds that are actually
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
But you can't help it. Things.
Okay. All right. So ours is trailblazing.
Trailblazing. Trailblazing also somebody wrote a book. So I think there's quite a lot of like movements
Yes, right,
way
right.
back in like around
Mhm.
2007 they had the social entrepreneurism,
Yeah, right, right,
social
right.
enterprises, and they had the impact investing, the ESG
That's right.
investing
There,
came up.
there,
Then United Nations came out with the SDG. So
Yeah.
it's just all pushing for the
Yeah.
correction that we need in the world. But
That's right.
what Irene is saying is that in the next 5 to 10 years, that anybody who is a CEO, right, must recognize this is not a checkbox that you can take off and all. It's your central, essentially, goal and deliverable,
Yes.
right?
It's deliverable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
KPI already.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with it and you're still thinking you're attending courses, right, to be able to get a leg up, you're not going to be that CEO that leads the world into the next generation of corporation. It's just not, okay? Because the young will not accept it. Because they
No.
are very, very, they
Restless.
they are very, yeah. So
Very
they
I
want,
would, I would,
Active,
yeah,
Huh?
Helena?
climate change makers, the youngsters. Yeah, that one.
yeah, I would put money on it that you're right. Most large corporations, will have an awareness of sustainable goals and have to work towards some target and brief. I don't know if your CEO will necessarily be the person who will be most clued up on sustainability issues, but if they're not, because at the end of the day, to get to a CEO level, generally they tend to be a little bit older, unless you're like, founder of some hip thing
Wait.
like
Mm.
like all these
Think
modern-
again, we said 5 to 10 years, think again.
No, but what we're doing is we're equipping the next generation of CEOs.
That's right. That's
I
right.
think
right.
I think
That's
to
right.
make the assumptions that the CEOs as is today will have
Yeah.
that, they will have an awareness, but they will have different priorities because they'll have a board pushing them for profits, the other P, and they have to balance it to make it look good on paper in terms of the people and the planet. But it's a different mindset. So you're actually equipping the next generation. So linking them up with corporate executives is great. But I don't even know if the CEO is necessarily the right person, but it'll be someone at the C-suite who's within their brief. And also you're talking about Irene's 3 levels of training, where you have your young, promising executives, then you've got the middle management of head of about going to go into direct role. I think that's where you're going to be finding the most potential for these change makers to link up with.
Yeah.
The next champion, the champions, essentially.
The champions. And by
Yeah.
that, I don't mean a sustainability officer that's operating at
No,
a more operational level either. But you have to find someone at the right level who's going to have an awareness and a commitment, but also have time. Your C-suite executives may not have.
They have untapped potential.
Yes. Yes. And you'll look good on their CVs as well to partner up, to be a steward or a mentor. Sorry, I'm so cynical for one so young.
Well, they're not going to be.
My 50s.
No, they're not going to be the mentor. They actually, I see, as you have to see these youth stewards as real treasure. I go in and I'm actually learning from them. It's that idea that here to teach them. They are not young anymore. They are in their mid. When we're in the mid-20s, we've really gone on with our lives, right? So I think it's got to be a matching of peers, right? If you're just in a different world, you're dealing with different things, and a lot of these youth stewards are actually like the next generation leader of their community already. So the ones that we are picking, right, are the ones that are like running their community, like the street children, orphanages, and all that, you know. They know, they are hands-on already, right? So actually it's a program for an opportunity for a corporate executive to really learn from
It's a
these
two-way thing,
it's
isn't
a
it?
two-way, yeah. So
From
that's why we
what-
came out with
yeah.
the Irene ended up with me the other yesterday with the idea of the beach ball, right? Irene, you know, you hold one side and I hold the other side, and then and it's kind of like a playground. Like, we don't really want this to go so intense that everybody gets so upset, gets so stressed that they have to, you know, it's in this world of mixed as opportunities, right? There's actually quite a lot of play in it. And if you forget play, right, you're going to be really miserable, and you're not going to be able to have the resilience through these 2 decades, you know, essentially, right? You're going to be depressed, and that's not what it's about. No, you're going to get like frustrated and get violent. We've seen all that already, seen all that kind of reactions. Even the youths themselves have seen all that kind of reactions during COVID, right? Which is great for them to observe, right? That's not going to work. So what is the positive thing that everybody wants should
What's the
do,
positive
right?
thing?
What's the positive action? What's small?
That's
What's
right.
doable? You know, maybe
Yes,
drop
what's
all the
deliverable?
labels, right? Maybe even socialism, capitalism, just drop it, right? But you've got the elderly, you've got the babies, we're all squeezed in the middle, you know, and then we're all bright and we're still very able. But Bernie, I was thinking that similar to how you've anchored the youth stewardship program with the formation piece, with the values, I think by far from everything that I've seen, I think, and you are also my guide and my mentor, right? I think if we can continue some component, that should be the foundational components, right? That guides us basically to the kinder and better world. It's about identity. So we did a lot of work with the youth regarding your identity, and then we dropped the word identity even, but regarding essentially how do you formate, right, yourself? Yeah. Bernie, maybe you want to share with Helena and Irene a little bit about that.
Oh, because I've been from the corporate side. My career has been always corporate, until I had a health issue. I paid the price for it. I had a pacemaker put on because of all the stress. Then I met Peng-Ean in the pottery shop because you have to have
class,
you have to have a catharsis. Yeah. So that was the beginning. And then I equipped myself to be a coach. So I got certified. I did that in 7 years ago. But on the career side, I have been a structured trade and commodity banker. It's very, very cranial, and it's very, very driven on profits. Yeah. But after that, I said, close the book. don't think about it. But I have a second life, which is what I'm doing with Peng-Ean. And I also have managed to have mentoring with youth. In fact, I'm a member of the International Coach Federation. I have a PCC credential, which means Professional Certified Coach. Yeah, because you have to do maybe 500 hours of one-to-one coaching. In fact, I am about to launch with another friend a program, 3 programs. Wait a minute. So, before this last year, I didn't do anything on the hardcore type like coaching. It was more on the arts. I managed to put up a program. It's in the YouTube. It's a musical concert for Ukrainian families. I contacted all my musical friends, musicians, which have 30 years of experience each one, because I wanted to help my friend in Poland because they have thousands of Ukrainian refugees. So I said, okay, let's put up a musical concert. And it was launched on December 26th. You can watch it in YouTube if you like. the funds were not so important, but it was more to give joy to the Ukrainian displaced families in Poland. Yeah. So I was very, very fulfilled with that, no, because everybody was so happy. The producer didn't charge anything. The musicians from 12 countries, from different instruments, different repertoire, they were very happy to participate. So I was fully occupied with that. And then now I'm back to my coaching. I have an experiential workshop for teens to develop greater confidence, clarity, and communication skills for teenagers. But this is more on the coaching side. And then I have another one for couples, experimental workshop to develop deeper communications, harmony, understanding, alignment in couples, because there's so many dysfunctional families. And if they're dysfunctional, the root cause of it is absence of right communication. Why is there conflict? Because if there's conflict, if conflict is not resolved, it multiplies. So, and then another one is parents program to enhance parents' ability to create better harmony and relationship with children. So it's more on the coaching side, but I haven't dabbled with executives because
Yeah, and we shall. This is the dabbling
this
begins.
maybe. I don't know. I'm totally. I don't know how to navigate this at the moment. But in terms of mentoring and coaching, I have a little bit that kind of skill. So maybe it could be applied, could be adopted, because people are people, no? Yeah. At the end of the day, what we want is harmony in the planet. Yeah, I don't know how I can fit that in.
You just did. You already defined it. You know, I like the way you went so deep, right? Like you just talk about family and then you're like,
Yes.
oh, I'm not going to do that work, right? But you went and like conflict
Yeah.
not resolved, it multiplies, and you've really got all these.
Yes.
It's a lot of work there that and I
Yeah.
think people don't realize it, but in corporations, there's so much corporate politics that have
That's
that
why,
create
for example,
toxicity and ruins a lot of
toxicity. For example,
talents, right?
the way I approached my Ukraine project was, I don't want to use the word stakeholders. I don't like that word at all, because stakeholders is that they just okay, I invest in this, I'm a stakeholder. But I prefer the UN word of enabler, because if it's your enabler, there is a two-way. It's a two-way street. You not only get something, but you enable both sides. So my producer gave me that concept. He said, no, he said, don't even talk about stakeholders. So that's why when I was approaching this program for 9 months, that was at the back of my mind, that what are we doing here? It's not really to put up a YouTube concert, but as you say, to be compassionate, which means we had a goal to do something for the Ukrainian families. So it's a little bit the same. You find a vehicle where you make the world a kinder place. It just happened because I have a friend in Hong Kong who is I think the best classical guitar. And when I was talking to her, she gave me a little bit of the dark side. I said, if you have a talent and if you don't share it, it's useless. So she said, I can play, but you have to find the musicians. So it was one by one. It just connected. So finally, we were able to put together a concert for the 26th of December. Yeah. The title of the concert was Joy of Giving. Yeah. It's very inspirational for me because it's intangible, no? But at the same time, you know that there were many, many families that were benefited, especially the Ukrainian families. Yeah. So
you mentioned those two words, right? Joy, and you mentioned this other word, fulfilled. It was very fulfilling. Maybe it's about fulfillment, you know.
Yeah. It's intangible, but You can see from the musicians themselves, they were very, very, very fulfilled. Because yeah, and we didn't distinguish talents. There were, at the end, it was a family. It was a Polish family with 3 children. They were singing Christmas, but in Polish, we didn't understand anything. But it gave life to the concert because it ended with a family with 3 children. And there was a boy who is from Kiev, 10-year-old boy. And he sang with all his heart. We didn't understand the song, but the mother said he just wants to be there. So it's a combination of real virtuoso musicians plus, as you say, simple people.
Mhm.
So I'm really hearing the center of it, right? So we have the goals like sustainability, inclusivity, but actually the real goal is this, right? It's
people.
that it's when you light up, right? And how do we bring that back to everybody's hearts? Say the youth in the communities, the youth leaders in the corporates as well, or all these different places, right? And
As you say,
and I know
people.
what is it? It's the people, yeah. But it's I always I work very closely with Keith, right, and his buddies, right? And I always observe them. They're always very left out. And I've always observed, if you just allow them, and for the school program, Bilberries Blue Lighthouse, we just played captain's ball, and I said, just change all the rules, right? But they were able to throw the captain's ball around and all that. And they just light up because they're playing captain's ball. But previously, they were told they can't play. It's something as simple as that. And also, they were told they can't cut vegetables. They're not given knives. I just gave them table knives and asked them to chop up vegetables from the farm. And it's that light, Bunny. You're talking about a 10-year-old boy. They're really innocent, right? But they also are also processing a lot, right? Yeah, but they don't have words for it. But when you have a concert like that and he starts to sing and the family starts to sing, suddenly they have their place back in the world. They were displaced, right? So we're talking about displacement very often, right? But suddenly they find a place that, hey, I can re-begin again. I actually can re-enter this world again, right? And this is the goodness that it's supposed to be. This is how it looks like. This is how, when it's facilitated well, the place of safety. So they are telling me in Bilberries Blue Lighthouse in the school now, it's like a sanctuary. I said, what have I done? I don't know. The teachers want to come in, and they leave with one word, which is love. It's really strange. So I never program love. Love cannot be programmed, actually. Right? It cannot be programmed. So I think we are all radiating love. However, other people are not allowing it to be said. But because this is one love, we can. But we kind of just bring that, I think, to apply it very sensibly. So Bernie has organized a concert. So we are just organizing something that we can kind of ring fence and we can get a hold of, that we can deliver. And so far, I've seen everything that we've done so methodically always ends up in that moment that Bernie says, we don't know that moment even. We don't know who will jump up and dance in the Cambridge lecture room or in the corporate boardroom. We don't know. I've seen it so many times. Suddenly that spark is fired and it's like watching a miracle. So I'm addicted to the process because of it. That's where my energy source is. I've seen it so often. I see it in the kids now, the school, So yeah.
So
I
are they
think
change
Identified a
makers?
few.
huh?
Yeah.
We've identified a few, Peng-Ean.
Huh?
We've identified a few wannabe professors.
Yes, we're hatching a plot. We're making our friends jump into the song and do the song and dance. All our friends. So we've got
Really
enough of
identified a
us.
few of them already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to light up the sparkle again, right? It's kind of like really just rekindling, yeah, maybe even calling it something simple, right? I don't know, but yeah. So, but we have to go and
I was only going to say,
fundraise. Yeah, Helena, sorry. Yeah.
I was only going to say, so are you really after change makers, or at the risk of sounding a bit riskier, riskier, fire starters?
Fire starters.
What?
Yeah, you know why
It's-
Helena is in this, why I said
I
she
just
will
realized I
have, she
also
has
failed
to
the
be
brief.
here. She has to be
I never
here
talked
because
about myself either. I just went straight into my question mode, didn't I? So
yeah, you
I
did.
have completely
Yeah,
failed in my task.
tell us about
think that
you.
will
You see, I
be-
like her. She just goes up and lights the fireworks. She doesn't even like ask
There's no health and
permission.
safety. I didn't
Yeah.
even ask. Yeah. Well, I feel like a bit of a fraud. I did say that much. So Peng and I went to junior college together, and that's how we know each other.
There she goes.
I've got an education background, so I don't have experience of the corporate world directly. Never worked in the corporate world, but I have worked in the university world for the last, how old am I? Yeah.
This is very good because the
52.
diversity is there. Yeah,
Yeah.
the diversity is very enriching. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm an educationalist, so that's what I can bring to the table. And I suppose my strengths are things like facilitation and networking and making things happen and seeing the links and also asking the difficult questions. But it's great to hear Bernie and Irene, you talk about your great depth of experience in the corporate world, and even your existing connections that will help make it happen, because obviously in the UK higher education is not a very well-funded regime. So one of my first points was, how is it going to get funded? There's that sort of thing. But I've been a freelance consultant for the last 8 years, still in education. And basically I would do anything that people pay me to do. So everything from business development to research pieces into student engagement, learning and teaching, student experience, that sort of thing. So I suppose it's not directly relevant, but it's just a very different type of background.
It's
I
very
think
relevant.
about the
every experience, every background is relevant.
yeah.
Yeah.
If
The,
we were
the,
on
the
a
more
college
diverse, the
course,
better. Yeah.
we need the diversity because the program is not about you just have people like me or Bernie, then it will all return back to just profit optimization, right? Which is
Yeah.
what we've been taught and brought up to believe, which is all very wrong now we find.
Yeah. At this moment, it's as you say,
Yeah.
toxic to use the word. Yeah.
The one thing I have done throughout my career is worked in change management. So even I've in the early part of my career, I was your classroom academic teaching, lecturing students, but latterly went into higher education administration and had roles that were to do with implementing change. And human nature doesn't change. Ultimately you'll get your early adopters, you'll get your stick in the muds, you'll get your naysayers, all the different groups of it.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's what I'm still doing around. In fact, I talk about business development. It's trying to sell whatever services that I'm representing. Ultimately, it's about saying, how can we improve your lives? How can we work together to help you solve these problems? How can we implement this change to make you work more efficiently and to enhance the learning experience ultimately? Because that's where we're coming from. So it's still to do with change management. And I guess what Bilberries Blue is trying to achieve is change management on a global scale. Let's take the world one piece at a time.
Yes.
So it's the other analogy that struck me when everyone was talking was this, you're all fantastic women saying, oh, but if we can just make a change in the ripples and the drops where we exist.
And the ripple effect.
It reminds me of the
ripple
square
effect.
mile. The Christians talk about making an impact in your square mile. So we can't all change the world as much as we like to, but we can change it one bit at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be a droplet if you would have me here.
Little drop.
No, it's
droplets that make more
I think it's the effort to make the vision come into fruition.
Yeah. So we actually think about glocal. So your square mile is that local, right? But we're all holding up the biosphere and holding up the human sphere, right? The harmony, right? Yeah. And when we were doing our inclusive programs in the very early years, because we even did it at infant level and all that, right? We very soon realized it was one child at a time. Then it became one heart at a time, because we realized it was not the child, it was the parents or the teachers, or it was whoever's heart was breaking. We were helping it seal it back, and or they would have to do it. That we can only hold the space. So often what I found is we can only hold that space. There's enough of us. And that person, when that person sees that hope again, something sparks up like that, exactly that, like 10-year-old child and that family, So and then when that happens, you don't want it to fizzle, right? You need the infrastructure there. So that's why One Love came about, because then we are like what we call a transition support platform. Then you say, okay, in this community, look, here's where you can begin how you apply yourself again, or where do you want to start again, But that's essentially it. So it's just like having lots of places of a very similar way of already having, like we said, right? The formation, we've already spent 400 hours with the youth, right? They already have a particular framework, something that they can go back to, very consistent. It's like parenting, You have a set of adults, trusted adults, who are actually kind of like holding the space very consistently, consistent language, consistent values, diverse, allowing diversity, valuing that, right? But essentially, it's just a very safe ground. I think that's kind of what I observe, right? Like Helena had offered kindly for my daughter to go over, anytime, right? But just knowing that for me and for her already makes her feel secure in being new in London, right? So it's a bit like that. So when these youths, right, they've succeeded in their community clearly, right? Whether it's from rural or inner city, right? And now we can bridge them into basically the marketplace world or the higher education world that they will never ever maybe have an opportunity to. And we thought that the launch pad is Cambridge, right? Freedom of thinking, methodical, also it's also like our feedback loop for either professional PD, right? Continuous, like, or skills development, if you want to think of it in that way, or just being like a meta referencing back into, okay, these are your theory, folks. Here comes the reality, and how are you going to reformulate your thinking? And I think it's exciting that way. And there's so many new type of companies and new sustainable businesses, right? They are going, and tech companies and all that, and picking Cambridge as is one of the center of re-emergence of the new economy, right? So that's why I keep saying, let's, and then we need something like concrete, right? Like Bernie, like you have your concert, right? So I thought maybe we have just 2 summer schools and see what happens. That's it. And Fitzwilliam College has kindly said, yeah, we can book their facilities, we can run our own curriculum, or it could be a program, right? It can call it curriculum, but like
but who are the participants for this program?
The youth that we're going to select, and the corporate executives that the corporations will put their names up after they listen to us, exactly like how the elders and the town of the communities, after Bernie, Bernie and I went as we were seeking partnership for the program, talked to all the elders in these communities, right? And then they put up the names for us. It was like the selection criteria, right?
So it's marrying the executives with the youth.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. And then later at the C-suite level, whoever is that champion need not be the CEO. But that's kind of like the format right now. But if you want to change it, we still can. I mean, we're still writing and refining the. And Emma can't join us today, but I think her input would be invaluable.
Remember what Nora Bateson?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was always saying it has to be intergenerational. She always was using that word, the youth and she said, whatever it is, it's intergenerational. So in a way, we're looking at the youth. We're also looking at these very accomplished CEOs, but giving them a better perspective, putting some value system into it.
The CEOs, if they are in our 50s, they are in their give back years already. So if we
That's
were
right.
talking about the CEOs that we're talking about peer
40s.
bonding, if we're talking
Yeah.
about a little bit like big brother, big sister peer bonding, then
That's
I
right.
still think it's going to be the youngish CEOs.
That's
But then
right.
but then we're
when I
not doing, yeah, so maybe we have to do three levels. Definitely the program must come from the top endorsement. It
Yeah.
cannot go in as like just one of those CSR things, you know. This is going to be like like their next leadership.
Yeah, next leadership. Because when I
Mm.
say CEOs, I don't mean the CEOs of the
Mhm.
50-ish. No, the future CEOs, which are probably today they are in their 20s, but these are
Wow.
the material, and then they will be the next generation of CEOs
So then it's
in
peers,
a
you know.
span of 5 years,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
That's peers already, because our youth, I think they're really accomplished. The ones in Kenya especially, right, Bernie? So mature. You know, they're nowhere below any of the other young CEOs that we are seeing, right? So then we're talking about peer match already. Okay. Then what happens is the community leaders come in, sit in, and the corporate leaders come in, sit in. That means it's a pairing up,
The
and
pairing, yeah.
and then it's a buddying. So that's actually 4 people.
Mm.
It's a set of 4. Yeah, times 12. That's 48. And that's beneficial because then the elder can talk to the young, right? Then we
So who's
facilitate it.
who's going to do the invitation? Who is going to be in this program? Who's going to identify the people
So the
to be in this program?
youth stewards, right? We will have to talk to the elders, right? We being Washima, Sai, you, me, who knows the youth stewards well, right? We have to make a decision who is going to join this the next level from the youth stewardship program. For the corporates, I think Irene has identified the corporations that she think that we can approach, and let's have SGX champion it, and we can talk to the leaders in SGX in the selection process. So these are partners to the program, right? Then it would be us. We are basically the people who actually select in or give
Will
the
they
selection
come? Will they come from the people that we have trained, from the youth stewards?
They would have to be, because they are the ones who
That's-
understand. For the youth stewards, it's our youth stewards. It's Bilberries Blue youth stewards.
I see.
Yeah,
I think
because
for the corporates,
yeah.
they would have their own potentials that
Mm.
they have identified that they want to cultivate for their succession planning. So we could ask for like 2 candidates if we want to have some inputs, but the corporates, they themselves know better than us who they want to cultivate. So
Yep.
in the past, that's how we run it. We put it through to the HR. They have the list of high potentials already. Then they will identify who they want to send to this program. And I want to answer Helena's 2 questions. I'm very blunt, very straightforward. I think number 1, fire blazer won't do, because it's like I think the 50s or 60s CEOs would want to leave a legacy. They don't want to be fire blazed, but they want to be remembered. They want to be remembered as a pivot point. You know,
Okay.
they have been a pivot point.
Okay.
So, I in my mind, tying all this together, it's all about energy, right? We want to inject energy back into the mavericks and the outliers, to continue on this change journey. that maybe they've lost faith in. But we need their energy. So I
Mhm.
think they'll be the younger ones lah. So 20s, 30s, yeah, maybe. So you pair them up. Then the intergeneration dialogue between the 20s, 30s and their CEOs, which they would really love to spend as much time as possible for their CV purposes to be with the CEOs, and then eventually come up with a case solution. So when the CEO participate, there's already a solution, pre-solution that has been worked through that can be a potential roadmap of transition to a sustainable corporation. That this fella has worked 24 months with professor, with the CEOs, with his own colleagues. And I agree with you, I don't want the chief sustainability officers because they've already got a fixed set of minds. Where the where we're enabling, I think it's interesting, is the cultural, cross-cultural dialogue between the millennials, and then we can understand what kind of world that they want, because the purpose is not to create something that, oh, Irene Sim thinks that this world should be, right? It's their world, how they want their world to be based on the value of kindness. I think that underpins, like, the program is value based, yeah, but with a point of injecting energy back into I think the outliers. I think, was it Malcolm X as well, who said that it's actually the outliers that will make all this change happen, right? So the elders have already identified all these high potential people with a lot of energy, and we need them. And we want
We have
these
to.
people, yeah, we want these mavericks and outliers and come and gather together, and 1 + 1 greater than 3 kind of strength. Then they go back and get some sustenance, and then they input back into their system. So I think maybe more like outliers or mavericks that we identify rather than fire. Yeah. Sorry about that. So I'm just
No, it's okay. It was tongue in cheek. And I did say it is like you don't want to be accused of arson, so no, don't worry. And fires that go out of control are quite dangerous too. They're dangerous things. But what you want is to light little fires everywhere.
When you put it in their perspective, like, oh gosh, when they retire at 60 or 70 already, they have been part of this great, wonderful change process, and they can tell the grandchildren, children that they have, part of
change maker, that's what it says on the tin.
Yeah, then they can contribute back to the world.
Well, the pivot point, the change, the pivot point of transformation, actually, that moment, right, where you have structurally moved the organization towards another trajectory, right? And you were watering it, right? As you were talking, I kind of kept seeing all these seeds, right? And they just need to be brought together, and then we just water them. Like a little bit of rainbow or what, and then they actually know what they want to do, but it's just like our kids, right? They just come to us for guidance and all that. But this is a bit more structured, very systemic, very curated, actually, very well designed, if you want to use that design, the way design is being well used, right? Because we've already kind of identified from the ground. It's actually validated. It's not coming from like, oh, wow, I want to do this and change the world tomorrow, right? It's really been quite a long journey. So 16 years for inclusion already, and there's so many people in this journey. So and from us, all different walks of life. So I think we're good to go. I think we're good to go. What I will do is put this video. The last time what we did was when we were brainstorming like this, okay? We showed the video to the elders and to say, yeah, I wanted to, that's it, because those people who are already here in the corporates, right, would recognize it straight away. They would understand this. They would take the trouble to listen to the 1.5 hours. Okay, maybe we'll record one more segment with Emma in it. I think it would do it already. And if I know Emma, she will watch this whole 1.5 hours. Hi, Emma. She would then input in. We could have another session with her, and then just I'll join the 2 videos, and then what we just need to do is kind of frame it up. Irene has a plan to lock up some people in the room for them to commit before they can leave the room.
Love my favorite banker.
Yeah.
JP Morgan, just lock them inside. You cannot leave until you sign this document. So we
Commitment.
identify some people, and then we're gonna lock them in and say, sign your money away here. Otherwise, you cannot leave.
And your name and your commitment. For how many years? 3 years plus 5. 3 plus 5 years. Okay.
So how long is your time frame from this? 5, 3?
Irene is going. You're planning a trip anyway to the UK, right, Irene?
I am, yeah. This summer, I have to bring my kids to the UK, and then I thought that I'll just take a small visit to Cambridge, and then
we were even thinking of locking people out within a month's time. Like very, very quickly, because I think, like, after talking to the 3 of you tonight, I'm like, yeah, this is so right to do, right? And the timing is right. And then, we just just talking to the 4 of you, with the 3 of you, 4 of us together, energy is right, thinking is right. It's just so easy, right? So we should be able to write this up very quickly, and then just get the ball going, right? Bunny,
So coming back, I'm still trying to put my brains into it. So you have one segment, which are Irene's contact, the CEOs, and then we have the people from our Bilberries, selectively, and then we'll just open opportunities for them to think through. It's like they have to be able to visualize what they want to be, something like that, because they have to see it from their lenses, because they have to be the ones.
So the ones
imagine.
we identified for the from the Bilberries Blue Youth Stewardship, right? Those are the youths that are not floating. There are some that are still floating, right?
Yeah,
we're identifying the
we can
ones who
select.
are already, yes, we can select. We should recommend it to the elders. Yeah, they are already running their projects. Okay, they are like already like the leaders in the community.
Yes,
in the
right,
corporates,
right.
in the corporates, in every talent development for these kind of companies, they would always have their talent development, and it's usually under the CHRO together with the CEO, right? And they would already know the 1 or 2 after they listen
They can spot
it already. They already know. It's part of their succession planning. That's what Irene is saying. So this is actually also the part of the succession planning for the community leaders, because we don't want all their good efforts to just go right? Especially in very vulnerable communities like like Nairobi and Dangkalan, right? That one generation of work or couple of generations of work can just be wiped out if they didn't think of their succession. So maybe the word is succession even, intergenerational is a bit loose. This is very specific. You got to plan for your succession. You got to take steps towards it, right? And if it's guided by people who are in the know, we are people in the know, because we're straddling both worlds. And then the middle world, the middle way you said, is actually Helena.
Yes.
Right? Higher education. What is the role of higher education today, right? It's not just passing exams, right? It's actually the place where everybody comes back together and have a rethink, right? That's the best role, right? Yeah. A rethink, reconnect, rework, be a bit open, rewire a case solution, like what Irene had said. So we're putting the structure for them to basically have this connection and dialogue and problem solving. So I'm actually a problem solver. I don't care where I am. Like, I love to solve problems, right? Oops, she's dropped off. Yeah. So maybe that's our cue as well. Yeah. Huh?
Okay.
So Bernie, any kind of thoughts before, because I'm cognizant that Helena has to eat, Bernie has to sleep. Irene has to sleep. So.
No, I just want, because it was big for me at the beginning, but now you have already the people who can participate on this. From the stewards, and Irene has the contacts on the corporate side. We just have to present to them, and then they can.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And then we have to just find out basically what time commitment that we require. I don't think it's very much time commitment. These are very highly accomplished, high energy people, right? Judging from even the youth stewards, right? As after we got to know them, like we just need maybe some sessions where we get to know them really well. After that, it's maybe once a month, once a quarter. It's just like any work stream meetings, because they're very self-driven individuals. Yeah. So
And how many are you thinking of?
we were thinking 12 plus 12, 12 plus 12, and then they come with their elders, right? So that's already 48. That's a good size actually.
12 12 individuals.
12 youth stewards, 12 corporate leaders, yeah, and then times 2, right?
Okay.
12,
So
so that we bring like 48. Like if they say we want more and we think we can handle more, it's not very difficult, because one breakout room we can take 20 very easily, and then we can always have more of us, right? But say if it's the 4 or 5 of us with Emma, right? Then 5 times 20 is already 100. 5 times 10 is 50. So it's a very comfortable number.
Stewards, we can generate the numbers.
Yes. In fact, I think I need more. So 12 is already very tight. Yeah, I think there are at least 12 very deserving youth stewards that I would recommend.
Group.
Yes.
From that group.
Because I continue to have conversations with them. I continue to run projects, meetings with them, you know.
There are some smart cookies in the Malaysian group, no?
I know the Malaysian group is
Malaysian group are really
because
excellent.
they were selected from 200, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe it's more than 12. That's why I think 12 is not enough. So
like this girl Marivic, this kind.
Yeah.
Justin.
Yeah. Jin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think they are very sharp.
And Yisian.
Yeah.
Way ahead. Helena, if you meet them, right, they're like, and they've done youth work already, you know.
Yeah, they have done
during
youth
elections and all that. So very interesting people from the non-corporate side. And
that's right.
So I almost want to think it's 100. And 100 is a nice cohort. 100 makes a village actually.
So 25.
Huh?
25. You're going to be youth-led. You know, it's a number of youths that you're going to handpick. So 25 of them.
Yeah.
Then times 4. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Times 4 times by the time you pair them up.
25. 25 would be nice, I think. 12 is a bit, it will be
too small.
Too small to take this effort and then just have 12.
To make
because
they
it's for their community. So if you think our youth stewards in Malaysia is whole Malaysia, then let's pick that. That would impact the whole. Because we're just going to do this one time only, you know. This is not like those kind of program where you repeat and repeat. We're going to do this one time and then we're in 2025 already, you know.
They're in their, I think they must be in their 23, 24 years old, no? By now.
Yeah, by now.
Because we started, they were 18. It's now
No, they were a bit older. Yeah, they were still in university. So now they're graduating. So it's actually perfect.
For sure.
Yeah. See, it catches up fast, right? Irene, we're looking at 100.
Sorry, I dropped out because my computer died. So I'm not joining from the iPhone.
Thank you.
100.
Yeah.
100.
Because we're only gonna do this once. We have to impact.
I have not run 100. Okay, the biggest was the youth classes. They were like 40 over. And then
Helena has run 100. Helena, have you run 100?
Oh my God, you have to take care of like 100 people.
Not in that sense. It would be conferences and stuff rather than a program like that.
By the time you run it at the summer school, it's like a conference, right? It's basically they have offsite conference, breakout rooms. Yeah. It's like first night in Boston, but not so big. It's just, you know, it'll be fun.
That's huge.
Is it too huge? Well, just get student volunteers to come, right?
Okay.
You think it's too big?
100 is, I think it's a bit
Do
huge.
50, do 50 in the first year, the elders don't come, and in the second year, these kids should be able to handle they should be the ones organizing it already, right?
Oh,
That's
the
true.
second year,
Actually,
definitely
they
they're
are
much bigger.
organizing it. They
Yeah,
are
because they'll have
organizing.
to bring their elders and their CEO, so it'll be a bigger group. But the
Yeah.
first group, probably smaller. I
Smaller,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately it will be equivalent to be 100 lah.
Yeah.
Because
To have the
12,
impact,
12,
right?
12, ma, right? 12 is already
25 lah,
24.
25. Yeah.
Then plus their inside, then there'll be like 48,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Then
So we
that-
we just aim for 100, then don't forget all the facilitators, right? And the
that's a
organizers.
separate costing. Yeah.
But don't forget we're leveraging on the youth to organize this, huh?
You have to put a structure in for them though.
Yeah.
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 And guide them. Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
going to be their annual hangout, thereafter. So that's why it's a proper structure, and that's why I said could we have accreditation, but I think that's not so important. The structure is more important, and
I think at this point the accreditation is neither here nor there until you have a structure, and then you can identify which body you might approach. Cambridge, whether they've got some CPD framework or whatever else. But I think you need to get the structure and content. You need some meat on the bones. So you need the skeleton, and then you need some meat, and then you decide how it's going to best. Ultimately, it's not about getting the gold star, although it could just be a gold star, then that's easy. But how can it best support these youths in their journeys as they carry on in their careers? Something, what's going to be worth anything that they put down on the CV? A gold star is neither here nor there. That's what I'm saying. The accreditation, you need to, so we don't even have to talk about that now.
No.
I like to put a different perspective on that. Perhaps that'll be important for fundraising. Yeah, because previously we worked with like Yale and INSEAD, IMD, and the ability for them to sign up to these programs at the corporate levels, because they have to be answerable to their shareholders, right?
Okay.
So so that's why we always had to have like we're working with Duke, or we're working with IMD, or we're working with INSEAD or whatever, and then the degree or the certificate actually is issued by them.
I suppose this is where I think Cambridge would be the first point of call.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure this out. It might be a bit difficult, I think. But Peng-Ean and I was just sort of tossing around different solutions to that. But your expertise, I think, in accreditation would really help, like what would be required or needed for some different levels of accreditation. Then that's how then the program structuring can be optimized in that sense.
But
Yeah.
it's very career driven. This program is very different. So it's like something very much for their career, LinkedIn and all that.
That's why the potentials.
Yeah.
It's actually
every potential would want to have the chances, many chances possible, to sit with the CEO every quarter or something to update on how this corporation is going to change. So we want those with very driven with a lot of energy.
It's like if I'm a CEO, I just have I have this project that I'm just going to bet on it, right? And see what comes up from it, right? And give it a little leeway. It's plug in the community, and I've got these guys. Otherwise, I would have to hire some other guys anyway, right? And it's very trusted.
Identify that Mark, maybe somebody will succeed me, or May. I don't want gender you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
May is going to succeed me,
Yeah.
right? So May, you are going to do this program. You are in charge over this 24 months to work with the CSO also and myself and corporation, etc. And then let's think through what a few roadmaps would be for this corporation to become a more sustainable, acceptable corporation in this new world. Then we tweak and tweak and tweak until I'm ready to go to Cambridge, right? And sit with all these professors that you've been meeting with to hone in on those key issues and areas that I have to, as a CEO, I have to do, right? And my roadmap of how I'm going to take this organization through the next 5 years to come to this ideal point.
So beautiful, right? 3 + 5. Oh, beautiful. Nice. Nice.
I'm becoming very Chinese 5-year plan. Sorry, I was a diplomat in China, so I'm quite used now to this 5-year planning thing.
Oh, yeah, nice. So, okay. So next step.
You know, while she was talking, I don't know if this is relevant. I worked in Shanghai before with a Dutch bank. Where we got our youth management trainees, we got them from this, it's called CEIBC, China European International Business Corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something similar to that. So when we needed employees, not employees, but potential young management trainees, we would go to that entity and we would select, and then each one of them, we assign them to whatever department we think they could grow. It's a little bit similar.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, we're the kind
When I was in the
leadership,
bank, it was like that also. Yeah.
kind
So-
leadership trainer. For us, we are the we are the
Yeah.
place to go to for the next generation leaders, right? For
But at
kinder
the
and
same
better.
time-
a different kind of leadership lah.
Yeah, but at the same
You know-
time, for Helena, she has the inputs because she has been there before, and then you can marry the two from both ends. You can bridge the gap.
So Helena is in higher education. So Emma is in she was previously in CIPD, right? So it's basically CPD lah, right? The L&D, OD, CPD were professional. So I think that's another amazing marrying, right? And then from diplomats, from all your experiences. So I think we've got it, right? 5 times 20 is 100. We each take 20. It's okay. They're going to be super high caliber 20, including the elders and the CEOs, the leaders. Easy peasy. It's like having a party. No?
So who is missing?
because
Who is missing here? Emma.
Emma is missing. Yeah.
Washima, is she here?
Washima should be here. Yeah,
She's
we still have
also in
Washima and Himao, so don't worry. There are quite a lot of us. Yeah, Saif also
right.
should be in there, right? The geopolitics
right.
and Kin for the economics part of BB and One Love. So there's quite a few of us actually. Yeah, so there should be like, if you want to think of the ratio, 2 people in the midst of 20. Then we know we're comfortable, right? Two people who can pair up, who can handle like the dynamics of that 20.
Yeah. Okay, at least
Okay.
there's a shadow. It's still a shadow for me, but maybe the image will be more clear later.
It would be useful if some of this was committed on paper, I suppose, to start seeing
That's
what
right.
it looks like.
That's right.
Yeah, we could set up like a Google Drive. So I basically got all that, right? So if once we shape up very quickly, it's quite easy for me to set up all the emails as well. So we just have to decide whether we identify this program under One Love or Bilberries Blue. But Irene thought maybe One Love is easier because it's already not for profit and it's for inclusive humanity, right, Irene? Do you still have that view
Yeah,
after?
I
Huh?
think I still believe in that, because that
Yeah.
would be give us a greater feel.
I think so, because it's
To
also
achieve what we
very,
want.
very clear. This is why we're doing this, right? Then
Yeah.
Bilberries Blue can come in and come up with other things or opportunities or charcoal or whatever. Those are already like for profit stuff. We don't want people saying to us, "Oh, you're doing this because you're doing it for yourself." You got really nasties like that, right? So we want to be like really clear.
We're
Yeah.
practicing what we're preaching, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm
Mm.
not going for profit in doing this thing.
Mm.
Basically, I want to regain my youth idealism, right? I just want the youth to give me some energy that I'm running out. All right.
Yeah, when you hang out with them, it's really fun. The other day they
Yeah.
taught me the word cancel. Like if you don't like somebody, you can cancel them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So then like,
Hashtag cancel. Yeah.
hashtag cancel. Yeah, Helena's very close with them. So
Now you're very woke.
I'm very woke.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
yeah. I don't know what it
Bernadette.
is
Oh,
either.
don't.
I just say I am, and then they say no, you're not. And I'm like, okay, that's also okay. But it was
Have you-
fun
have-
hanging out
have
with
you-
them.
Have you heard the word slash? So, slash, one of the parents told me that for their children now, she's in the 20s, slash means I slash this, I do this, I slash this, I do this, I slash this. Instead of multitasking, they use the word slash. Oh my God.
Okay. It's quicker, I suppose. It's more efficient
Yes.
with
Yes.
syllables.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do this, huh? So it's easy. I'll set up the emails, okay, and then I'll
Okay.
set the Google Drive. I'll just put all because then I have to set up the emails with the Google Drive, and then all of you have access, and then from there we can structure like all the different folders, whatever. Name of the project?
Mm.
Will
CC,
come.
Huh?
Yeah.
compassionate change makers.
Huh?
I'm still going towards that compassionate change maker.
Change makers. Okay, Irene, change makers is the Ashoka Foundation and all that. The Ashoka Foundation. It's already very branded by them.
Okay.
That's my only
Shall
concern.
Yeah.
we could take that offline, and
Yeah.
maybe when the others have a watch and troll through all of this, then there
Yes.
might be some ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
put it.
Let's put it. Yeah. We'll have a
But
second meeting.
at least
Yeah.
the core value that I'm hearing is compassion, kinder
Yes.
world, compassion. So if
And
we just put that as the focus, then we think of words that will project the goal that we're trying to make. Yeah.
Oh, I need to take a picture of us.
You're very dark,
I would just. You're very dark, Irene.
in
Let
the
me
dark.
turn
Can
on
you
my
like
little.
just put some spotlight on yourself? Ooh,
my
that's very nice
mini-
mood lighting. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. That one is better.
Wow. Rabbit. You guys are so serious. Wait. One more.
Yes.
Maidens.
Mm. Okay. What time is it in UK now?
She
It's
needs to
past
eat.
my lunchtime. It's
She needs to
nearly-
eat. You're supposed to
It's
eat and
nearly
you bring your.
2:30.
I know, no,
Because
it's too
We
late.
are 7 hours difference.
That's right. Yeah, it's bedtime for you, but it's fine. I've had a couple of coffees. I'm not really hungry, but what I really need is the loo. Sorry, too much information.
Hey, if you have
Hey, I'm
time,
still
if you have
recording
time,
this, Okay, I'm gonna start
if you have
recording already.
time, I will email you. You can watch the concert that we did.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
Yes,
That'd be
I
lovely.
will send it because it's
Yeah.
in YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
You just Google Pontes Joy of Giving
Mm.
Okay.
Christmas concert. Pontes, because Pontes in Polish means bridge.
Wow.
Yeah, bridge. So
Which is a
Pontes,
phenomenal.
yeah, Joy of Giving Christmas concert.
Okay.
Irene, remember the Bridge of Sigh?
Yeah.
We shouldn't have a Bridge of Sigh, but we should have a Bridge of something.
Yeah. Mm.
Rainbow.
Maybe you have bridge
Yeah.
makers, not change makers.
Yeah, because it's about
Because they're
connection.
bridging the generation, and
It's
there's a
true.
bridging the
Because-
change.
Because I
We're not-
think change maker is a bit overused then.
Mm.
Because you're not going for seismic earthquake. You can't. You can't.
No,
So
no.
you're just
Bridge
building
makers-
bridges.
It's really like just extending your hand and I'm extending my hand, right?
Yeah.
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 Bridges.
Which
Oh, we better
Bridges.
patent the name
Bridgemakers is sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
I love it.
No?
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because we're bridging the two generations.
I know.
Yes, bridging all sorts of things,
Business
cultural
I'm just
differences,
like I'm just reaching
values,
out.
you know.
I just see us reaching out. Like just everyone's reaching out on hands, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
sometimes we do just need a bridge
It's a
aside.
nice, it's a nice, it's a nice,
I
it's a
know.
nice, yeah.
I
It's a
do
nice
want a
brand,
bridge aside.
Bridgemakers.
Huh? Nice brand. Okay, so we've got a name.
Bridgemakers.
Bridgemakers. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. It is a universe. It can apply to everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Can go
Thank you,
anywhere.
Eddie. That was nice.
Thank you.
It's
So
amazing what you
beautiful.
can do without
So-
food.
We got the name. we named the name.
Yeah, we named the name. Too bad for the
Yeah, we-
others who didn't turn up today.
Yeah, we named the name. Well,
We
you
named
know,
the name.
take views
okay.
and input, you know.
Unless
'cause
we can
Well,
think of
they can-
something else.
Yeah.
They
For
can
the
still
moment,
have their inputs and it's still
Yeah.
open. We're still open.
yeah, it's a
I like
working
it.
working
I-
title.
Yeah.
Working
yeah, we
title.
can still
It
continue.
can make you go anywhere. I'm in love with it
thinking
already.
about
Okay, I
it,
better
yeah.
don't like set it in stone and then I can't change.
But at least there is a direction of what we want. At least, yeah.
Mhm.
Very fruitful
Okay,
discussion.
thank you very much.
Thank
So
you,
Yeah.
lovely to
ladies.
meet you and lovely
Yeah.
to see you. Yeah,
Yeah,
take care now.
okay.
Yeah, you all take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank you for
bye.
answering this
Bye-bye.
call.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Mwah. Okay. 30.